what's up, everybody? Time for another edition of the Bill
Bert
Pod
Cast.
What's up, everybody? Bert, hey, I got to ask you about what's going on with that hat you got there. Is that some
like it?
minor league shit? I love that. What is that?
Yeah, this guy, SF Grippy is his name. He makes hats. I don't listen that well. I think he makes hats. He finds logos and then makes his own hats, or they're from minor league teams, or they're defunct minor league teams that he brings back. But he makes cool hats.
I don't listen to. Were you just so enamored by his hats that you weren't listening?
I like the hats, and he told me, and I was too busy looking at the logos. I wasn't listening at all. And my problem is I have a big head. I have a size 8 head. So the problem is you only get hats in places where there are big market teams. So New York, Boston, Los Angeles. And so in order for me to have a hat, you never like, so then walking around with a Boston hat in LA is fucking exhausting. So
now that we beat them in the World Series, fair and square. Listen, if in 2020 you can't figure out somebody's banging on a fucking trash can and you can't figure out what's going on, I mean, come on.
If you have a Boston hat in Los Angeles, every dude from Boston wants to connect with you. It's almost like you can give them a ride home. You walk into a store, it's like, oh, Boston, you see the game? Hey, how about Manny? He had a good game today, right? And you're like,
oh, you're going the other way. I thought it was LA fans. Oh,
no. And then I was like, I'm not from Boston. And they're like, what? You got the hat on? And I'm like, yeah, I have a big head. And they're like, yeah, I got a big head too. And I'm like, well, mine's bigger. And they're like, I don't know. And then every time it was that same conversation. So
go ahead. It fits good on your body. I think I have a big head, but I'm in the 7s. I was higher, and then what's great is if you shave your head, your head size goes down about a half a size, depending on how big your fro was. So I think I'm like a 7 1/4. You're an 8. Wow.
8, yeah, an 8 size 8 head. It's almost like a fraternity of men who have a size 8 head, because it is, you go through the same struggles. You walk into a Lids and I know how to buy a hat there. You go, hey, what size 8s do you have? And he goes, everything. I go, you don't have everything. You don't have everything.
You don't have everything?
I say that every time.
Ooh, that's a little dangerous.
You don't have everything.
You don't walk into a store and comment on another guy's inventory.
I've done it so much. I do. I walk into Lids. I go, what do you got in a size of that? And size 8. And he goes, everything. I said, okay. Really? And he go, yeah. I go, how about that Tampa Bay hat? And he's like, all right, let me check. He comes down and he goes, yeah, we don't have that in a size 8. And I go, okay, let's start over. I go, what do you have in a size 8? And he's like, and then they use their brain and they go, probably whatever local team. Like if you're in Cincinnati, probably like the Reds hat. And I go, can you check to see if you have a Reds hat, please? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, no size 8 in that. And I'm like, okay. It's such a pain in the ass.
Well, and you come in with a bit of an attitude.
100%. Like a woman with a big foot buying shoes.
And you cannot bring up the fact that she has big feet.
At all.
At all.
And so then every time he goes, got 7 7/8. Why don't you put that on? And I go, it's not going to fit. And he goes, I don't know. They run big. I go, no, they don't. I'm a size 8. A size 8 is different than a 7 7/8. Trust me. And he goes, just try. And I'm like, okay. I go, it's my head. I've been doing this my whole fucking life. And I put it on. He goes, well, you got a big head. I go, that's why I walked in with a fucking attitude, asshole.
Wow. They just want to get that red mark on your forehead. Have you walk out with it.
Wait, what do you have, a 7 1/4?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember 7 1/4. I was in like 8th
My
grade.
mother buys me, when my mother gets me hats, she still buys me a size 8. Because she told me since when I was a little kid, and we used to be called a wiffle. In the summertime, I wanted to get a wiffle. She goes, you can't, your head's too big, it's too round, and all of this shit. And I think in her head, because when I was born, my head was this big. We already talked about this shit. So I think to this day, I think she was embarrassed of me. Just this big-headed kid just walking around looking like he was going to knock down a Lego city. So to this day, when she goes to buy me hats, dude, I mean, I could like spin these fucking things. It's like, Mom, I got a big head. I don't have a big head. It's like,
Wait,
is
what's
this
a wiffle?
David Ortiz's fucking hat? Where'd you get this?
What's a wiffle?
A wiffle is like a crew cut. Where I grew up, it was called. There was different express. We called it a wiffle. If a teacher yelled at you, you got balled out. If you were just trashing somebody, it wasn't roasting them. It was called. He was ranking on them.
Really?
Dude, second period, I was fucking ranking on Mark, and I got balled out by the fucking teacher. Now my mom's not gonna let me get a fucking wiffle. I hate that teacher. She's a fucking D-bag.
Our only example of those, this is so bad, in Florida, was all our slangs all had the N-word in them.
Oh, God.
Oh, dude.
Like in the hip-hop generation type of thing?
No.
Oh, with the R.
Yeah, it was like if you knocked on someone's door and ran away, or if everyone jumped on one person. So like that was like if you jumped on everyone, you guys called it a dog pile.
We all jumped on. We'd say that wasn't a fair fight.
No. Say there was a fumble and everyone jumped on the ball.
A scrum?
Scrum? No.
I don't know what we just called that game Kill the Man with the Ball.
No, well, we didn't call it that. We called it Smear the Queer.
Smear the Queer. Well, you know what it is about Florida? I wonder if before Walt, the anti-Semite, showed up, I bet when he showed up, you guys all didn't like him because he didn't hate enough. When he showed up and he made that park right there in Florida, Disney World,
yeah.
I think that everybody else in the country then separated Florida from the South. And maybe I also think Miami, Hollywood, Florida, the Jackie Gleason show. I think there was a level of glamour to Florida that people didn't like. I don't know. I mean, I guess people always retire down there. For some reason, it never got the bad rap that the rest of the South deservedly
it was just as bad, too. It was just as bad.
Kidding about deservedly get. I like the South.
Oh, dude, Florida was definitely the South. It was the outer, like the coasts of like right on the beach was a little bit more elevated than like the center of Florida, like Okeechobee, Live Oak, like all that Ocala, all that center of Florida was very redneck.
I used to scream the name of that lake when I would be driving by myself on the 75 or the 95, whatever the fuck it is out there. I used to do that all the time. Okeechobee! Just to keep myself awake. I just love the name.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. At some point, I was going to drive across and then up from Miami because I had a gig in Miami, then Tampa. And I just, by the time I got that gig, I was too old to do the drive. I was like, I ain't fucking doing this, man. I'll look down.
There was a river we'd float called the Itchnatuckney.
Itchnatuckney. Dude, Florida's like, of all the places that are the most like Australia, I think Florida. Australia, as far as I just feel like
that's funny.
The second you get out of civilization in Australia or Florida, something reptilian is going to get a hold of you. Like you can't go in any bush, any body of water. I mean, the fact that you guys just coexist with alligators, I think that's why you're so racially intolerant around there. Like all the energy that you used to tolerate all the different parades of all the different cultures in our country, I think you use that up on looking for a gator, and then you just like, get out of here, you damn, whatever the hell you guys say down there.
Alligators were a legit threat growing up.
Did you have a childhood friend that lost a limb or their life?
No, I had a kid across the lake that had a pet alligator. Raised him, and then had to let him go in the lake.
You always have to let a reptile go.
100. Yeah. Oh, well, I want to say every reptile that we had in college ended up either dying at the hand of a dog or being let go.
A reptile died at the hand of a dog?
Yeah.
What, a little lizard?
Yeah, lizard. My iguana died because one of the dogs got a hold of it, and then my buddy Cheese had a ball python that got out and just disappeared, and he was like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" And we were like,
Yeah, that's what the fuck happened in the Everglades. Now you have like 2 top-level predators that were never supposed to meet. And I'll tell you what kills me is, man, those pythons can take a chomping. I
yeah,
watched this one like on YouTube where this alligator and this python were just having like the Undertaker versus Mankind steel cage fucking match in Okeechobee. And this thing was like, I'm thinking it's an alligator. Just bite the fucking thing in half. But it's like fucking biting on Bruce Smith's biceps back in the day. So they can't get fucking through it. And the snakes just take a beating. Like those pythons can take a beating.
oh yeah, dude, there are so many down there because so many people just let them go. You could buy them in college, dude. Reptile farms were a big deal in Florida. You drive, and there would be like a stop, like 40 miles outside Tampa, where you could go, and they had poisonous snakes.
Yeah, it's just nuts down there. I'm telling you, it's like Australia. I remember seeing this thing one time. It was just one of those great, just cheesy shows where you don't even have to think, right? And like most of my TV viewing, and it was about this guy. He picked up this chick at a bar, and he had this giant, what, Burmese python, whatever the fuck you call it.
Yeah.
To the point it like took up a significant part of its house. He had this giant glassed in thing where it was. She saw it, like freaked out, and he was hammered. He goes, I'm going to go feed it. So he went in there, and somehow the dope fucking face planted, hit his head or something, and he started bleeding. And he couldn't like regain like his full faculties or his consciousness. And the smell of the blood or whatever on its little tongue there turned on the predator thing, and it just fucking grabbed him and started choking him out. And then the chick was just freaked out and called 911. But by the time they got there, it was over. I was watching one the other day where this python grabbed this dog, and these guys in like somewhere in Asia just had like these branches with leaves on them. And they're whipping the fucking snake. The snake is still squeezing the dog as it's going, and then the snake is like fucking got its head going, fighting them off while it's squeezing this thing to death. It was like some Jackie Chan shit, like multiple attackers, while it was also killing its fucking meal. They finally got the thing off. It was kind of funny because the dog chilled once they got it off its rib cage, and it was just sort of down around its hinds quarters. It was sort of chilling. But I've been watching a lot of shit like that. Hyenas versus leopards, wild dogs. There's a great wild dog one where the guy had to turn off the comments because he was such a fan of wild dogs that when the lion was going after it, he was out in the bush going, "Oh no, run, run, oh no, run, little doggy." Just like they had to shut off all the comments. Because sick and twisted people like myself watch those fucking things. There's something about it. Like, it's not like a Rogan thing. Like, wow, Rogan's like into nature and predator and fighting and all of that.
Yeah.
There's just certain animals I don't like, and I like watching them get killed. What are those, Bill? Ostriches? Ostriches annoy me. There's just these big fucking goofs, and you'll watch like these top predators. And those fucking things, dude, when I tell you they just take off.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that dude who would play full court hoop outside in his bare feet? And you come down on a rebound, land on his foot, was so calloused over he didn't even get hurt. That's the human version of that is a fucking, ostrich. Those things, there's so many cats I saw go after that thing. And when those things can see you, they just start taking off. It's hilarious because they don't have arms to move. And it's just like this little blob. It looks like a kid drew it. And then they have like these fucking Carl Lewis legs with these giant big chick feet, and they just fucking take off. And it's so satisfying to see one when they get caught, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like seeing chimps get killed. I like seeing wild boars and hyenas. It's really everything else I root for.
we hunted a wild boar on Travel Channel, and they were like, yeah, there's gonna be a segment. And I was like, I bet that it seems pretty brutal. They have a bunch of the Hawaiian pit bulls,
Oh,
and they all have trackers on their necks, big collars. They're all in the back of a truck, and they let the dogs loose, and then we just kind of watch the tracker, and then follow the dogs. And so we're running through the forest after the dogs. And man, the second we caught up with the dogs, and the fucking 5 dogs were holding the wild boar down, and one's got it by the asshole, one's got it by the ear, one's got it by the they got it. The dogs have pulled all its arms and legs out, and it's holding it down, and you just hear this thing just. They gave us a knife, and they go stab it in the heart. And I had the knife in my hand, and I passed it to one of the travelers I was with, because it was when we were doing trip flip. I go, "It's your vacation, brother. Congratulations."
I heard you have to like sew the dogs up, like they get stitches and shit when they get hit by those tusks, right?
Oh yeah, those dogs took a beating, and then they put this was the most brutal part, is you got to get you're in the middle of the woods. You got to get the pig out of there. They took the pig, they cut out its intestines in right there. The dogs are fighting over the asshole, the intestines, everything. And then they tie the legs and the arms like this. They tie them, and then I put it on like a backpack with the head right here and walked it out of the fucking woods.
Wow.
It was.
By the way, I think it's hindquarters and front legs, not legs and arms. I don't think pigs have arms.
Legs and arms.
Yeah, and I actually think that there's probably people who watch this don't give a fuck about stuff like that. But if you are like a PETA person and everything, you can't tell me that during this pandemic, when there was the initial 2 weeks of panic and everybody just running to the store and buying everything. Remember how there was. I am patting myself on the back that in real time I was like, this is fucking stupid. There's Postmates, fucking cows and chickens don't have this. It'd be one thing if there was, all the animals would die, and I understand that. But you can't tell me after this pandemic that you're not looking at a guy like Joe Rogan who's got like, a frozen moose in his garage or something going like, that's pretty fucking smart.
Oh, he's
Papa making his own bread.
Yeah, he's got Rogan has like 5 refrigerators. And when I was just telling someone this the other day, when I did his podcast, it was right after the pandemic hit. And he was like, "Hey man, you good on meat?" And I was like, "I could always use some." He was like, "All right." Took me back, gave me 40 pounds of moose, elk. I mean, just like so. And you're looking at that going, "Oh, he's going to be good." When the fires hit out and where he lives, when the fires were out there.
Yeah, I heard. He's speaking out of school. I don't know if you need to say this. I don't want to hear his neighbors hear this.
No. The fire. I think this was on the news.
All right.
The fires were out in that area, and everyone west of the 405 had to evacuate pretty much. Mm-hmm. And Joe just popped open his freezer and cooked 300 pounds of elk and moose for all the first responders. Just turned on his grill and cooked up for everyone.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a dude.
I have to watch his Instagram pictures too. It looks like he cooks the hell out of it too.
Oh, he does it different. He smokes it and then reverse sears it.
So okay. So you've already got the inside temperature you want. Then you just give it a quick once-y on both sides.
Butter and garlic, and it looks so fucking good.
Thank you for not trashing me for saying once-y. You give it a quick once-y.
Do you think you could hunt an animal?
Could I? Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
With a bow and stuff?
I mean, I'm not saying I could hit it.
Yeah. You wouldn't have a problem killing an animal?
No.
Okay.
I love animals, but if I have to fucking eat, or if it's going to try and kill me, and I also think it's really stupid that I don't know how to hunt. I think it's really stupid that I don't know shit about guns. I think it's really stupid that I never, did any martial arts shit up to like a decent belt just to be like, proficient. Like, I think all of that is stupid. And I think that, like with most shit, there's a ridiculous stereotype. When with like gun owners and stuff. But on the other side, they do have a really bad timing. I guess because when bad shit happens with somebody with a gun, they immediately go after gun rights. So then they have to say something. So it's just like, there's a lot of like, I'm one of those guys where, I think you should have something in your fucking house to protect yourself. But like, I also draw the line. I would definitely draw the line on like, I don't think you need something that you then as one person could take out an entire fucking mall. And there's nothing anybody can do about it until the fucking cops get there. Because then it escalates to then open carry, and then we're all walking around like fucking high noon. And I don't think most people have the I know me with my fucking temper, I should not be walking around. I would definitely brandish a weapon. I'm not saying I would shoot somebody, but I don't have confidence in my my temperament. It's a ridiculous fucking responsibility owning a gun. And I think like it's like, look at stand-up comedians. There's a lot of comedians that love it, but there's very few that like have that need and that hunger and that respect. And like, I mean, dude, I mean, I'm gonna pat myself on the back here, but I can literally walk into the biggest fucking hell room ever. All right. And when I walk in, when I see like the mic stand and the mic just sitting in it before the show, I still get a little like, I get like that, like I nerd out about it.
Yeah.
Like, look at these fucking animals. Look at this whole situation that's completely not set up for this. And then this human beings are going to walk up there and just grab that microphone and somehow try and turn this shit around. And it's just like, I don't know, there's just something so fucking awesome about that. And I think that there's like, there's, with everything, gun owners, hunters, or whatever, there are those people like plumbers. There's the guy that does it right. And then there's the guy who just fucking does it the way my fucking house was done. Sorry. There's the Richard Pryor of everything.
Yeah.
And then there's like the pop singer of everything. So I think the problem with guns is that there's too many middle acts that that have them. And they are open micers that have guns, and then they give like, legit gun owners, people who grew up with them, respected them, and all of that type of shit. My big thing about a gun is I don't understand, like I have it in my house for protection, but then it's in the fucking safe. Like at night, I want that thing loaded right on the nightstand, but then I'm worrying if some guy comes in the house and he's got his soft socks on and he's tippy-toeing up, and then that thing's sitting there like a fucking hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah.
What if you're thrashing about or you start sleepwalking like Mike Birbiglia?
He's someone who should not own a fucking gun.
Pick up a gun and fucking blow your brains. There's a lot of, it's like having a tiger for a pet. Nah, it's probably a bad analogy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I have the thumb safe where it does your fingerprint. But
now you just wiped your nose. Would it work? Do you have to wash your hands before you do it?
Nope. It's just like your iPhone. Just tunk, and it just funk, gun flops out, loaded, one in the barrel.
See, there you go. Problem solved.
Oh, I've been very lately. We're dealing with some issues of.
That's my favorite thing you've said today. I've been very lately.
I've been very lately. I'll just say we have guns all around the house right now.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. You either have to go fucking Born Identity or not. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, hey, you better be ready to use it if you pull it out.
All right. Now, you asked me if I could shoot an animal.
Yeah.
Could you shoot a person?
Very easily.
Very easily, yeah.
I
don't want to get your fucking gun.
If I ever had to pull my gun out, it would only be I would only ever pull my gun out if there was someone in my house. And if there's someone in my house, especially in today's what's going on with social distancing, if someone gets into my house, I have no problem shooting them.
All right. What if someone was just on your front yard and they were just screaming at you, trashing your act?
Then I would just go out and argue with them. It's crazy, man, that the people lately that I've been looking that will trash your act, and then you go to their and it gets you so upset, and then you go to their thing and they have 6 followers, and you're like, oh, you don't even count. Like, no one heard your opinion.
I like those guys. My favorite ones are the ones on Twitter when they really rip into you, and then if they have like just the egg, like no picture, and then 0 followers, not following anybody. It's like, oh wow, this guy hates me so much, he or woman, that he just started an account specifically to trash me, but was so afraid that if I just had a little bit of information, the person's name, their Twitter handle, or their fucking face, that I would trash them. So I always found that as a level of respect. Okay, here's the kind of people I could shoot. The obvious. Naked pedophile running up my walk, screaming, I will rape you all.
Yeah.
No problem. Fat people.
Because it's easy.
Because I don't really want to kill somebody and have that hanging over my head. And I just feel like a fat person could really take a shot because they
and they're already got 1 foot in the grave.
Well, they got that level of blubber, you know what I mean? And I just feel like it's not going to get to the vitals. But a fat person, you don't have to do much.
Yeah.
You just gotta like slap that belly, get that weight rippling. I don't know. It's a very like I think you watch enough movies, you think he can do it. But I remember one of the big disappointments was this rapper came out, and he was a boy soldier in Africa and just killed all kinds of fucking people. Mm-hmm. And before I listened to his album, he said he was talking about all these rappers that were at that time with the gangster rap shit. This is a long time ago. We're bragging about killing people, and all of that type of shit. And he goes, if you've actually killed somebody, he goes, you don't brag about it. He said it haunts you. And I never forgot that. I was like, wow. And then I listened to the album and like, this is 20 years ago and the producer wasn't good. So I was like, fuck, this is going to be like the real deal. So his rhymes and shit were all right, but like the producing stunk. I hope he doesn't see this.
We've been watching, the girls have been into Vietnam movies lately. We watched Platoon the other night. And and it's so funny is that they see so many movies that aren't real. We talked about 1917, but they see so many movies that aren't real that they still have a hard time believing some of these movies are real. Like Vietnam, they're like, that really happened? And they're like, they made some of this up, right? You're like, oh no, that Oliver Stone was there. That's what it was like.
Dude, I worked with the guy second shift in this warehouse. And he was in Vietnam. I've never seen a guy put away booze the way this guy, like you would go out drinking with this guy and he'd hand you a Budweiser. He'd drink Budweiser hard, right? Yeah. And then he'd be doing shots, but he'd hand you a fucking beer. And I swear, dude, you'd get like fucking 5 sips in and he handed you another one. And then it became like the I Love Lucy sketch, where she's trying to wrap the chocolates. And dude, and this guy was just like, he looked like a toad. He was just all just flesh and booze. And when he'd get really hammered, he'd tell you stories. And he always laughed about it too, but it was a crazy laugh. And then he would get quiet. But he was at the DMZ. And you know those anti-aircraft guns that shot like that, like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. He said he had his pointed horizontal at the tree line, and when shit would get going, his job was just to fucking, like he said they would explode like water balloons.
Good.
He just hit these fucking guys. Yeah. And he was like, raging fucking alcoholic, and like smoked cigarettes down to the thing, like fingers all yellow and brown. I mean, I lost touch with the guy, but there's no way that guy made it to the year 2000.
No.
I was with him in the early 90s. The fuck was his name?
See, that's the question. Do you think
Frank
you could go to
something or
war?
other, yeah.
You think you could go to war and do that shit?
I've always maintained that if I could get the courage to kill the first person, once I did that, then I would be worried that I would be that psycho running around in the nude at night with the knife in his teeth.
Collecting
But
ears?
I think there's an 80% chance I would actually be in the fetal position crying.
Yeah.
Because my walking around guy is that guy, but then I have this, somebody cuts me off in traffic, and then I turn into that other guy. So what I would have to, my entire adult life has been holding that other guy at bay.
Yeah.
So, and then also trying to toughen up the other side. I am the most fucked up dude ever, dude. I have, like, any social situation I walk into, I'm either crying in the foxhole or running in the nude with the knife, the fucking lunatic, or just letting somebody completely walk all over me, take advantage of me. And it drives my wife nuts. She's just like there's sometimes I'll just walk into a situation and it's like, it's if somebody's passive with me,
Ooh.
like, does it like, no, dude, like, and I'm not really it kind of like has me at ease. No, that's not even the one. I think passive aggressive people and bullies bring out the lunatic, and then everybody else, like, if it's a weird social situation, like, I've let people say some of the rudest, most disrespectful shit to me ever. And then afterwards, I mean, like, anywhere from 2 hours later to 6 months or a year later, I'll bring it up with my wife, and she'll just be like, yeah, I was like on pins and needles. I couldn't believe you didn't say anything. And I was just like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't. And now that's going to fucking bug me for the rest of my life. And then for the rest of my life, dude, I drive around replaying that situation in my head alone in my car as I fucking say it to the windshield. You fucking think you can, as I'm buying you a fucking burrito, you're going to fucking say that in front of my wife, eh? You know what you talking? I go into that fucking mode. And then I'm at a red light and I look over and there's somebody looking at me and I just, yeah, dude, mess.
No, I'm the exact same way. I would allow liberties with people because I always felt like I was resilient. I could be cool. I could get past it, and then I never got past it. It would be something I'd sit up and fight with in my head. I told Rich Voss this today. They had a radio show call in where there was the fans were trying to get the most famous guest to call in, and someone reached out to me, and I definitely wasn't by far famous, but for whatever reason they let me call in. And then so I like the radio show hits me up. Hey man, would you mind if we called you? And I was like,
I'm going to give you props for downplaying your celebrity and trying to act like you're down to earth. Continue.
Well, no, that's important to this story because they send me an email, like a text. Hey, do you mind if we call you for the show? This is what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware. Of course. So then I say yes. They announced that I'm on the show. And then the fans start going, hey, man, they've been trashing you all week, saying you're nobody, you're not famous. They've been mispronouncing your name. So I'm sure, by the way, I did the interview. It went perfect. They were cool as fuck. They just did not know who I was. So they're like, I don't know who this Bert Kreischer guy is. So that's why. But what happened was I laid in bed getting these emails going, I'm walking into a trap. Like, they're going to fucking destroy me tomorrow and be like, so who are you? And I'm going to have to defend myself. Bill, I played radio jock versus Bert out in my head, but I played both voices. So I wrote the script. This radio jock was saying the most poignant, destructive things to me. And now here I am. Like, he would never know these things about me, right? Never. And here I am defending him, fighting until I go to bed. And then I wake up. And by the time they called, I'm like, hello. And they're like, hey, man, we're going to be on in 2. Are you ready? And I'm like, yeah. And then he was like, really nice. He's like, hey, man, super excited to talk to you. Thanks for letting us call you. And I was like, oh, hey, what's up, man?
And your guard went down and they didn't trash you?
They didn't trash me at all. They were super nice. And then he texted me and he was like, thank you so much. And they were awesome. It was like an awesome sports talk show.
I got one for you. One time I was on the road and I did a radio station. It was outside my wheelhouse. You know, I was somewhere in the South or something like that. And they were definitely more like the good old boys. And I was an East Coast guy, but you know, we made it work or whatever. And then I went out and I did my show wherever Chuckle Hut I was at. And somebody came up to me going, hey, you know, those guys just trashed you for like 10 minutes after you left. You know, and I was just like, oh, those motherfuckers, right? So then I went back to New York and I went on Opie and Anthony and then I trashed them. And then they got in touch with me and they're like, dude, what the fuck was that all about? I thought we had a good time. And they were like, we never said shit about you. You know? And then the one guy wanted to fight me and shit. And I learned a lesson. I was just like, you know, just because some asshole comes up to you and says that somebody's saying something about you.
Yeah.
The proper procedure is to, well, do you have audio of it? And if they don't, you just fucking let it go. That's what I've learned. I've learned with that shit and business. Working in ATC and that type of thing, and just knowing that people are gonna, you know, there's gonna be disagreements, people are gonna come and go and blah, 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 and you just fucking, it's just business. It's like, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were flipping out about something in show business, and I was just listening to them. I go, listen, I'm not trying to be the know-it-all old guy, but everybody in this town has that story. Denzel Washington has that story. I signed up for the thing. It was supposed to be this, and I showed up, and it was that. It's just like everybody has that fucking story. So just take comfort in the fact that, you know, it's not a personal thing. And that was a big, like, I learned a lot, and I felt really bad. I wish I said when they got back to me, I should have been like, I'm an idiot. Somebody said that you guys did. Maybe it was another show. I'm sorry. I'll go in it. Like, that's what I should have done. I should have done that. I should have been like, yeah. I was like, then why did 20 different people come up to me and say that? And it was only one. Like, I tried to lie my way out of it. I felt like a fucking asshole, which I am.
Dude,
so,
do you know how many times I laid in bed fighting with Opie and Anthony? Like,
oh, in your head?
Fighting. Because I wanted to be on that show so bad. Like, so bad. And then I got on, and I've talked to both of them about this, but I got on, and it was, and by the way, I got on, and it was a good experience, but it wasn't the best because it was when they were fighting, and so no one was talking. And so like everything was wrong. Everything went wrong with that appearance, in my opinion, as a fan of the show, right? So then I go on to do it again, and E-Rock comes up to me. We're at Montreal, and he's like, hey, just so you know, you're uninvited. I said, what? He was like, one of their guests that they have on, one of their regulars doesn't want you on the show. He doesn't like you, and he doesn't want you on the show, so you're not allowed to do the show.
What?
Yeah, dude, don't get me started. It's a fucking...
What kind of a fucking asshole would do that to another fucking comedian? I know I got to know who it is if they're a regular.
Yeah. Oh, you know the person well. And so he and I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's not letting you on." I think E-Rock was buzzed. We were at Montreal, and I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, so you're gonna get a text tonight saying that you're not allowed to do the show, but it's because of this guy. Everyone in the show loves you." And he was like, "It's bullshit." And so I was like,
Aren't
okay.
you blowing up E-Rock's spot right now, or does it not matter because the
doesn't matter? It really doesn't matter to him now. He's over at Kumia's network, and it wasn't. Anthony didn't give a shit, and neither did Jim. It was Opie. By the way, I don't have any problems with Opie, and I've talked to Opie about this. But yeah, it was Opie that kind of put the kibosh on it because of someone else. And so then from that time on, like,
wait, did you bomb?
No.
Did you talk over people?
Nope.
Did you not drink the eggnog and puke into the basket? No. You must have done something.
I was perfect. I mean, I will tell you, I talked to Sam Roberts about it. I talked to him about it right after I did the appearance. The appearance went fine. As a matter of fact, it went even better than fine because I had just done Letterman the night before, and I'd done panel with Henry Winkler. Henry Winkler was there. and Henry Winkler was walking by, and they're like, "Hey, it's the Fonz," and I go, "I know him," and they're like, "What?" And so I jump out of the studio. I watched the show so much, listened to the show so much that I knew how to behave. I knew it was good. So I jump out of the studio. I'm like, "Henry, come on in." I bring Henry Winkler in. It was a fun appearance. It was a really fun appearance.
My God, I was just picturing you going, "Henry," you sticking your head out sideways like you did with Sam. Do you got time for a quick story?
We talked about
Henry
his
Winkler
dyslexia.
strikes me as so nice that he didn't even remember you, and the fact that you called him in there, he went in there anyways because he's such a sweetheart of a guy.
Oh yeah, and then he hung out. It was the only thing that was wrong with that appearance.
Wait, how do you know him? I want to see the degree you know him. You met him before? You did a failed pilot?
We had just done Letterman the night before together.
You don't know that guy.
I know him, Bill.
You don't even remotely know that guy.
We had done Letterman. We had hung out in the hallway.
Conan with Jennifer Aniston. I don't fucking know her.
If
You're out of your fucking mind. Bert Kreischer, you are out of your fucking mind. I know him. Wait. Did you do stand-up or panel?
Panel.
It's a little better, but not much.
I did 7 minutes of panel. And
he was the first guest.
It was him.
So he left, dude. He left.
No, he was there. He was there. He was there because when I got off, because they did 3 panels. It was Henry Winkler, Shia LaBeouf, and me. And they said, just so you know, you get 2 minutes. And I was like, wow. And then everyone was backstage, and they're like, that's not for everyone. It's just him. Unless Dave likes you, and then you'll get more. And so I was like, okay. And so I did 7 minutes, and I got off, and Henry Winkler was backstage. He was like, Dave must have really liked you. That was awesome. I had a good appearance. And Shia LaBeouf left, but Henry Winkler was back there, and I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, that was great. It was a really great appearance. Him and Biff, and I was like, oh, thank you. And so I left. And
all right. So then you saw him the very next day. Okay, that's not bad. All right.
The next morning I see him, and I'm like, Henry, and he was like, hey. I go, come on in. And he walked in. And they're like, and Opie's like, Bert knows Henry Winkler. And I was like, oh, we did Letterman last night. And then Henry Winkler came in. It was fun. It was a good appearance. The only thing that was wrong with that appearance, in my opinion, and this is a fan of Opie and Anthony, is I know you don't do prepared bits on that show, right? And that's not how that show worked. And I went in and I sat down. No one's paying attention. Everyone's on their phones. And Opie just goes, so what's this machine story everyone says I got to hear? And I'm in my head, I'm kind of like doing the show the way I think it should be done. I'm like, oh, it's a long story. It's not, you don't want to hear it. And he's like, no, tell it to us. And I was like, I don't think it's right. I hadn't even met them. And he's like, tell it to us.
That's a good Opie.
Yeah.
Like, that is the level. Like, when I first did that show, dude, I got to be honest with you. All shows, I think that you really wanted the respect from.
Oh, that
always had that vibe. Stern, like a Howard Stern show. First time I did that a long time ago, it was the same thing where it was just like in Letterman, it's like you're going into something that you so want to go well.
Yeah.
That the pressure is fucking crazy. Like if you all 3 of those shows, Opie, Howard, Letterman, all 3 of those, if you walked in and didn't give a fuck what the stars of those shows thought, it would be a joke. You would have such a great appearance. But the thing is I think that pressure is caring. That's all it is, caring too much. So you have to trick yourself into not giving a fuck in enough of a way that you can get the job done, but not do it in a way like, hey, wash those dishes. I don't give a fuck. And you got leaving food on. I mean, you got to do the job right. But wow, dude, that just took me back.
Yeah.
I remember whenever Opie and Anthony would get a really good guest, I would be rooting for them. I would be listening to the show going, come on, guys, please don't do that O&A thing where for the show you're gonna was it cauterize another fucking artery?
Yeah.
To taking the show to another level. One of the worst and best things, which was what made the Opie and Anthony show so fucking great, was one time Leslie Nielsen called in. And fucking it was Opie, Anthony, Jim Norton and fucking Nick DiPaolo. And he called in. It was towards the end of his life. Oh, I mean, it was fucking brutal. And he was old and he couldn't hear and he couldn't figure out what they were doing. And I don't know where the fuck his publicist was, but the guy or woman should have got Leslie off the fucking phone within 30 seconds, dude. And it was just like, I mean, you ever been a fan of a boxer and then you just watch him get his ass kicked? Or like your favorite quarterback gets old?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, oh man, your favorite athlete or whatever. It was like that. But at the same time, the guy's doing the ass kicking. It was so bad. It was so fucking
watching.
I mean, as far as everything that I saw on there, where I was just like, I can't believe that they just are going to fucking do it was the most uncomfortable thing ever. It was
almost like watching Opie and Anthony was a little bit the end of Donnie Brasco, when he's been made, but he's still got to go in every now and then. And you're like, fuck, are they gonna know there's a wire on him? Does he have a wire on him? Like Opie and Anthony there were times where you'd just be like, oh, please don't. They'd go, we got a great show. We got David Helen, Patrice O'Neal, Bill Burr, and we got Judge Judy coming in later. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Dude, did you ever see the one? I think Patrice was there too. This guy came in and he was promoting a book, and it was a bunch of puns with definitions to them, about bros. Like, all right, this is your bro that you only drink beers with. That's your broski. Like, they would level jokes like that. So they don't trash him right in the beginning. They let him do, it felt like 11 of those things. And I just kept remember Anthony going like, and they just let him keep going. And I want to say Patrice was there, and Patrice's silence was deafening for I think this was the guest. It might have been, Patrice did it so much, but he finally just said, in the middle of one of them, I think he just looked at Opie and Anthony. He said, Anthony, what year is it? Can you please explain why this motherfucker came in with a book of puns on this show? And they started trashing this fucking book. I forget if the guy called in or what, but it was like, it was like one of these things where you're just watching somebody walking into their death and they don't even fucking realize it.
Oh,
I swear to I still to this day, when I fucking go to New York, I have this excitement. Oh, Opie and Anthony, it's not there anymore. It's like this phantom limb every time I come back to that city.
So after that, I used to think I would be that pun guy. The next time they let me in, I would go in and they would have a setup to try to destroy me. Like, only because
that could happen. That could happen. That was definitely a subset of guests that you were coming in there, and it was just going to be that they were turning on the humiliation button, full fucking power or whatever, and you were just going to be that thing. And it was like playing on a football team, where it's like, all right, you're the starter now, but somebody else comes walking through that door and then they're doing your job better. You're now second string. And so that thing, that's why I always said the theme of that show should have been the wheels on the bus. Wheels on the bus go round and, because I saw every single fucking person spend at least half a fucking an hour and a half underneath those fucking wheels.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had my fight planned. I knew what I'd say. I knew everything I was going to say. I had the moment I looked to Jimmy to help me out, and then the moment I had to turn on Jimmy. I remember all of it. I would lay in bed arguing, and they would say the most poignant things to me that were the things I thought of myself, and it was
brutal.
And then I never ended up doing Opie and Anthony again. I don't think, because I think they split up.
The table at the Cellar was the same thing. Before I got there, I would just think of every possible comic that could be there, and I would get 2 or 3 insults ready to go. So I went in there, and I could lay down some cover so I could make it into the fucking trees. Yeah, and then just fucking hope that somebody else with a dumber looking shirt or whatever the fuck they were coming at me would just come walking in.
Hey, Eddie Ift. Oh, thank
Eddie,
God.
I was going to say that. Please, Eddie Ift.
Eddie should get a special pass into heaven. The amount of shit he took at that table.
You know, was another good one. Patrice and Kevin Brennan. Those were good ones.
Really?
Oh, those were good ones.
I don't remember.
I remember one time he said to Kevin, this is when we were still new. So, like, Kevin had status, man. He was one of the fucking guys, right? Still is, right? So Patrice was just holding court, laughing, and just being like, just fucking as loud as you could possibly be. And I forget what the fuck Brennan said. He yelled over at him, like something to keep it down or something like that. I remember Patrice just looked over and he just goes, Kevin, shut your face. The way he said it. He said, I can't do it the way he did it. He said it with such like contempt. Like, how dare you talk to me? And went right back to talking. And me and Kevin Hart fucking laughed for like 20 fucking minutes. It was just the stupidest shit ever. I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. Like when I go to New York, I go through a depression if I spend too long there.
Yeah.
Like when I go to New York, what I've learned to do to get around the depression is I go to the Stand and I go to the New York Comedy Club, because I walk in there and I don't expect to see.
That makes
like
sense.
when I walk into the Cellar, I'm expecting, it's like high school, and I go back and nobody's there, and I mean, and then I just see a bunch of people sitting at the fucking table that would literally have left in tears. I just try to avoid it, but then of course that bullshit happened last year at the Stand. So I mean that fucking sucks now too. I don't know. The dark. Well, Kimowitz getting murdered.
Oh yeah, that's horrific.
Yeah, that's the dude. I gotta be honest with you. I actually learned something from that as far as like grief. Like that's the one thing that I always fought off the cry with Patrice. I've always fought. You always just as a man, I can't fucking do this. With Kimowitz, I fucking let that one out, and it's a really. I learned. I was like, wow, the emotion of crying is healing, trying to get you to heal, and I never fucking understood that. And that one, that one you couldn't hold that one in, man. That was just fucking. Let's not talk about that, man. That was the worst fucking thing ever.
That was horrible.
Anyway, back to the comedy.
No, I have a hard time going back to I always go back into the Cellar a little shell-shocked. Like, every time I walk into the Cellar, I'm always like, who's at the table? And then I don't know anyone. And I'm like, oh, okay.
But I feel like if you move back to New York and you were there for like a week and a half, you'd be fine. It's the leaving and then coming back. Like, I never understood that expression, you could never go home. I never understood that. I was like, what are you talking about? Fucking get an airplane ticket right now. Go right, stand right outside my high school. I never understood that it meant it's not going to, it's not going to be the same past a certain amount of time. So, and just how my head works, I have to stay in the new. Because if I go backwards, I have so much regret about shit that I've done or didn't do and all of this stuff. I can't go back into that and revisit it. It's like, yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like when they had me do Bert the Conqueror season 3, the show had been canceled, and they're like, you should do that again. And I was like, I think I'm taking a step backwards. My wife's like, yeah, 100% are. You definitely are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Oh, did they do a reboot of it?
Yeah, they did a reboot of it, and I wanted to get it right. I wanted to do it the way I thought it should be done, and I think we did, but no one, the new network didn't like it.
Dude, me and Verzi used to watch that show just to watch you scream. It was my favorite thing ever. That one where they put you on that zip line above that stadium, and you're just like, I don't want to do this. I do not want to do this. And then they just push you off. It was one of these.
That was
I used to watch that show a couple of times. I would watch it with Verzi on the phone just to hear him laughing. And we would just laugh our balls off. Dude, some of that shit you did, I wouldn't. Like that strat. Did you jumped off the stratosphere, right?
I was the first person.
Yeah, I'm not. I would never in a million fucking years do that. Ever.
Oh.
Ever. Fuck. There's no margin for error.
None. It was, dude,
like
the panic attacks.
In aviation, you there's emergency procedures. With bungee cord jumping, if that fucking thing fails, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I actually always wondered if you were going down, right? And there was just enough to send you back up as it snapped. And then you're in the air doing that running in the air thing you do when you realize there's nothing holding you anymore.
Yeah.
Could you fucking, because there's that thing as you're going up with physics where as you start to travel back down, there's the point of no return where your arms are not strong enough to reach out and grab something and actually hang on, which I believe is anything above 2.5 miles an hour. Which is the amazing thing about apes and monkeys. How when they're getting chased by something, how they can jump down like that into another tree and just fucking grab with one arm, one hand, and just grab something and keep going. That is Spider-Man. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, that is crazy. You can't, because at like over 2 miles per hour, it's almost double your body weight, right?
I don't know what the physics of, but it's like, yeah, you go from, automatically right now, like, dude, if I just lobbed a 50-pound weight at you at the gym, if I just went, hey, Bert, catch this.
Couldn't catch it, yeah.
Couldn't catch it, yeah. And so, I weigh like a fucking $171. Loving that number. Yeah. I can't, with my shoulders, I haven't put up 171 pounds and I can't remember. And now I have 171 pounds falling and I'm contemplating my own death. Yeah, I'm not.
That should be the workouts we do, where you're trying to catch weights. All the workouts we do should be the things that you see in movies, like you're holding onto a cliff by one hand and you hold on to something, the other hand is swinging it up above you.
I used to think a way to fly a helicopter safely, in case the main rotor just snapped off, right?
Yeah.
Is if you just flew doors off, all right? Yeah. And then you had one of those, those base jumper guys.
Yeah.
But you can't do it because you'd have to have the chute in your hand, and you got to use all your hands all your limbs basically to fly the fucking thing. If there was a way, use the tail rotor pushes you over. You'd want the tail rotor on your side, whatever side you're flying on, push you over like that, maybe. No, but then that would take you to the door. Dude, helicopters are just fucking. That's just, you got to fly both doors.
That's the one thing.
I don't know how you can do it.
They told us as soon as you hit the water, the first thing the helicopter does is flips upside down.
That's not true.
Oh, okay. It doesn't?
Well, depends on what you do. It doesn't flip upside down. If you watch somebody do the procedure I learned for a water landing is you just do an auto rotation the way you normally would, and then the second your skids hit the water, is then you went left cyclic. You basically roll down to the detent, so you're essentially in neutral. So the engine is not turning the fucking rotor anymore. What you would do is then you went left cyclic to deliberately put it on its side to stop the blades from turning. And does that.
They hit the water?
Yeah, the water stops it. And then you unbuckle your seat, take a breath as you're going under, you unbuckle your seatbelt. All of this casually, by the way. And as you got that spinning guillotine above your fucking head. And then you come to the surface, fight off a couple of sharks and, wait for a boat to come get you. Well, what you're supposed to do is when you go to the water is if you see a boat or a buoy or something that you can fucking be near. That's what you do. And then the other big thing is obviously nowhere near it, close enough to a boat so they can pick you up. But there's no way you're supposed to jeopardize anybody on the ground. I think that's when you learn how selfish you are.
I would land on the first boat I saw.
If you give a fuck about those surfers below you going like, now let's be fair. They didn't decide to go flying today. This was my decision. Like those fucking military pilots and those commercial airline pilots, when they get into those situations and they put it down in the fucking ocean, have just basically said, we're all going to fucking die and I'm not going to kill any more people than need be. I mean, that is some fucking man shit.
Yeah.
Because I would be aiming for the fucking beach. I'd at least be shallow water.
I would be trying to land it up on the beach.
Head out the window. Hey! Heads up! Sorry! And then afterwards, just taking the beating as you're getting on the beach. I panicked. I'm sorry.
Like John McCain getting dragged through Vietnam.
No, but he's a hero. It's not like John McCain. This is the antithesis.
No, but they beat the shit out of him through Vietnam. They were stabbing him with pitchforks. He landed in the lake right downtown.
Ugh.
He fucking
I wonder how many times when he was in captivity, if he was like, I should have just pushed the stick forward and aimed at one of their fucking buildings or whatever they had. Just killed myself.
They showed us.
Did you ever read? I talked about this. Did you ever read Fly Boys? When the first George Bush had to put his fucking plane in the water, and dude, back then that was the first, I think, major war where aviation was a factor as far as like, World War I, they had like the Red Baron and that type of shit, but the level of damage that you could do, and the Japanese considered it like ridiculously. They thought they were cowards. It's like, we're down here on the ground. We're in the shit. You fly over, drop your fucking bombs, and then you got to fly. Then you get to fly back. So they knew that. They told the pilots, like, if you get caught, don't get caught because they're going to torture the shit out of you. So he fucking put his plane. He told his buddies they had to jump out because he thought he was going to crash. And when they got out, I think it helped with the weight and balance, and he was able to go over the island and fucking land in the water. And when he got out, he saw the boat of Japanese coming out to get him. And he was 18 years old, 19 years old, choking on oil, crying in the middle of pitch black fucking water as this boat's coming out, knowing they're coming out to get him specifically to torture him to death. And he said, and then like a movie, this periscope came up from an American sub. They shot a torpedo, knocked out that boat, and then they surfaced and brought him aboard. It's just fucking. You can't even believe it's fucking real.
That's Fly Boys?
I thought I told this fucking story.
I've never heard this
before. You just don't listen. Because I remember making the joke saying Fly Boys. It sounds. Oh, Andrew's saying no.
No, you told it on the podcast before, but you haven't talked about Fly Boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this book, Fly Boys. It sounds like it's about like a boy band, which is hilarious. And it was about like these, I don't want to talk, like it was all this classified shit, what they did to these pilots do, because it goes beyond that. It goes beyond anything you think human beings were able and capable of. I'll just put it this way. From what I read in the book, there was only one army in World War II that had rules about cannibalism, and it was Japanese soldiers. And their deal was you can't eat another Japanese soldier. But everything else was on the deli counter, so to speak. Put it that way. Dude, it's a long fucking... So anyway, George Bush Sr., this is what the funny fucking thing is, because when he was president, they made him all out to be like, not going to do it, wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. Dude, this dude was a fucking beyond a man. Say what you want about his politics or whatever, the Warren Commission, whatever your fucking conspiracy theory is. this fucking dude did shit at 18 and 19 years old that I could never do in my life. So he was talking about how you would go to battle, you know, and guys trying to shoot you down, and you'd fucking, you know, turn. It was basically who could turn a tighter turn and not pass out from the G's to get behind the other guy. And there was this really interesting thing where our planes were heavier, so they could take more. The Japanese were lighter. They couldn't take as much enemy fire, but they could turn a lot tighter. So it was this really it's like Joe Rogan breaking down a fight. This guy's good standing up. This guy's good on the ground. So he would say you would go to the fight, you'd come back, and you'd go into your barracks, whatever the fuck you stayed, and then like the bunk below you or above you was empty. And you knew that guy didn't come back, and you had to mentally just be like, he goes, you would just think it's not going to happen to me. It's going to happen to the other guy. Here I am talking about the nervousness of doing Letterman or Stern or Opie and Anthony the first time. This is what these kids were dealing with. And he said, you'd come back, and when you landed, I think what you just went through would hit you. And he said he got out of his plane one time, and one of the head guys, the admiral or something, came up, and he goes, nice flying, son. How you doing? And he said he opened his mouth, and no words came out. And they were like, it's all right. Just go down to sick bay. They'll fix you up, son. And he said you'd go down to sick bay, and they'd give you 2 or 3 fingers of whiskey. You just do a shot. And he said the funny thing was that it worked. So this is what he was dealing with at 18 or 19. And then you go to become president, and they're on, SNL going like, not gonna die. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. And what's fucking hilarious is the fact that people still want that job. That you could do that for this country and then become, I know that they were just sort of making it up, but he was considered not a strong president, which is complete horseshit. What it was Gary Hart was supposed to win. His personal life got exposed for the first time. And then Dukakis was like the booby prize, so he didn't fucking win because we'd already had 8 years of a Republican, so now it was time to blame Republicans. So now it was going to be 8 years of a Democrat, but it wasn't. So then it was 12 years of Republicans before it was 8 years of Democrats, before we blamed Democrats, and then 8 years of Republicans, 8 years of Democrats. This is why Trump's going to win again, I think. And then everybody's going to blame Republicans after his second term and then say Democrats are the solution, rather than we have to hire those Blackwater guys to take out the Federal Reserve bankers and oil companies. That's just my own personal opinion. Not to mention this virus is just something the government's using to control us.
Gary Hart, I remember Gary Hart so vividly. I think I was in 7th grade. Did you see the movie they did with Gary Hart?
I was in the fucking thing.
You were the fucking reporter, weren't you?
You fucking... Has anybody ever walked out of a Zoom podcast?
I forgot you were the fucking
No.
reporter.
I want to get down to how forgettable my performance was in that movie.
Wait, who was it? Who was the lead? I can't remember who the lead was.
How dare you?
Who played Gary Hart? Who was
Fuck
that?
You.
Who was it?
You don't even remember that I was in the fucking movie?
I do now. As soon as I said it, I went, God damn it. What was the name of that movie?
Front Runner.
Front Runner. That's right. You were great in it, Bill.
No, I wasn't. Who was the star of that movie?
Gerard. Was it?
Depardieu?
Gerard. Front Runner.
I'll give you a hint. Wolverine.
Tonight, we die in. I still don't know that guy's name.
You don't know the guy who played Wolverine?
It's not Gerard Butler.
It's not Gerard Butler?
No, it's Wolverine. Bill is saying
Hugh Jackman?
Yes!
J.K.
Now I'm not offended because if you didn't remember him, Vera Farmiga, Hugh Jackman,
Alfred
Steven
Molina.
This is yours truly, Kevin Pollak.
I remember watching that. All I remember from that movie was that Gary Hart had kind of an open relationship.
Yeah, women back then tolerated the fact that if their guy was out there crushing it. I saw this thing on Elvis recently. And his wife after Priscilla was just like, the man had big appetites. Big appetites for music, big appetites for food, big appetites for women. And she just sort of accepted the fact that it didn't mean anything to him. He was coming home to her. I don't know what. Or she was just like, if you're going to live in Tennessee, this is the place to do it.
Yeah. God.
She just tolerated it.
I've been mixing up Gerard Butler and Hugh Jackman my entire life.
Hugh Jackman is one of the best actors I ever worked with and one of the nicest fucking guys. He's a sweetheart of a guy. Speaking of Australia.
It's crazy. They do kind of look alike a little bit.
Gerard Depardieu and Hugh Jackman do not look alike.
Hugh Jackman and not Gerard Butler and Hugh Jackman do look alike.
I know the name Gerard Butler. I have to see the thing. I watch a lot of sports.
He is. Gerard Butler was
in the movie 300, Bill.
300. Tonight we dine in hell, or whatever he said.
Hey, did you ever accidentally call somebody and then they say, "Sorry, I missed your call. Give me a call back." They're all excited to talk to you, and then you got to be like, "Oh man, I wasn't trying to talk to you.
I was drunk. I'm sorry. I had a great idea.
I hit the wrong button. I had no interest in talking to you whatsoever. Sorry."
Stanhope called me yesterday at 2 a.m.
I miss that guy. I haven't talked to him. I don't think I've talked to that fucking guy. I probably talked to him once since we did that End of the World podcast.
Really?
Well, he lives in fucking Bisbee.
Oh, I talk to him all the time, I feel like.
Well, you know what? You had a little clarification at the end. I talk to him all the time. I feel like it's like you. I talk to Bill all the time. I talk to you once a week. Yeah, but this is a lot for an hour and a half. This is the closest we've ever been. Yet I can't touch you.
You guys want to do some reads?
Yeah,
sure. Let's do some reads. Hey, next time we do this, I'll go in my drum room and I'll show you how far I am along with good times, bad times.
Ooh, that would be great. Hey, I'll pull out my guitar and we'll play a song together.
I won't be able to hear what you're.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I don't think we have that kind of technology.
Okay, so we all know how ExpressVPN protects your privacy and security online, right?
Yeah.
But here's something you may not know. You can also use ExpressVPN to unlock movies and shows that are only available in other countries.
You got to be kidding me.
I swear to God. You ever been in Canada and try to watch something that was shot in the United States? You're like, oh, I don't have rights to do that? No, come on.
Oh, boy, have I.
Now, so many of us are stuck home, and it's only a matter of time until you run out of all the stuff to watch on Netflix. It's so simple to do. All you got to do is fire up the ExpressVPN app, change my location to the UK, refresh Netflix, and that's it. See, ExpressVPN hides your IP address and lets you control where you want sites to think you're located. You can also choose from almost 100 different countries, so just think about all the Netflix libraries you can go through. Love anime? My daughter Isla loves anime. Use ExpressVPN to access Japanese Netflix and be spirited away. It's not just Netflix. ExpressVPN works with any streaming service. Hulu, BBC, iPlayer, YouTube, you name it. There are hundreds of VPNs out there. But the reason I use ExpressVPN is to watch the shows. But the reason I use ExpressVPN to watch shows is it's ridiculously fast.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. This sounds amazing.
Yeah, there's never been any buffering or lag. You can just stream HD. No problem. ExpressVPN is also compatible with all your devices, your phones, media consoles, smart TVs, computers, tablets, you name it. So you can watch whatever you want on a personal device.
You name it.
You name it.
Remember that lady? I got beans, creams, parrots, goats, moats. You name it.
I don't know.
That lady at Real Church, Black Church. You never saw that?
No, I never saw it.
All right.
So you can now watch what you want on any personal device or on the big screen wherever you are. If you visit my special link right now at expressvpn.com/BillBert, you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Support the show and watch what you want and protect yourself with ExpressVPN at expressvpn.com/Bill Bert.
Bill Bert, Billbert. All right, Policy Genius, everyone. You know, there are things we look back on and think, how did I get it so wrong? Might be wearing multiple polo shirts and popping all the collars. That's such a great reference that nobody brings up. That's a good reference.
I did that.
Donating to Coney 2012 or dating that one person that one time. You know the one. We're always going to get things wrong. That's just life. What do you mean that hooker's dead? That's... I thought she was having fun. We need an alibi, man. That's just life. But there are also things we can get right on the first try, like shopping for life insurance. That's where Policy Genius comes in. Policy Genius, motivate your audience. Get off your asses and order this shit. Policy Genius makes finding the right life insurance a breeze. It's in minutes. You can compare quotes from the top life insurances to find your best price. You could save $1,500 or more a year by using Policy Genius to compare life insurance policy. Once you apply, the Policy Genius team will handle all the paperwork and the red tape for free. And Policy Genius doesn't just make life insurance easy. You can also help find the right home and auto insurance or disability insurance. Call to action. This section is mandatory. I would have read it. So even if you look back on your triple denim days in distress, you'll never be distressed about life insurance with Policy Genius. In just a few minutes, you can find your best price and apply at policygenius.com. We all get things wrong from time to time, but at least we can get life insurance right with Policy Genius. There we go. All right, we're back.
Hugh Jackman has a great head of hair.
Amazing head of hair.
He really is.
He's in great shape. He's a tall guy. He's a nice guy. But I got to tell you, we did a scene in that movie, that one that you forget and don't even remember who was in the fucking movie. When we ran down the alley chasing him, he turned around. He went, and he was pissed that we were following him. He went into Wolverine mode. And I remember this actor said to me, I love that choice you made where you dropped the piece of paper. It's like, that wasn't a choice. We were shooting at 2 a.m, and I thought he was really mad at me. And I was like, oh, fuck, did I piss off Hugh Jackman? Is this Gary? Is this Hugh? Typical comedian. I don't even know what's going on.
Did he know who you were when you met him?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Who's the most famous person you've met? Like
you, Bert, you. Dude. Even though you deny your celebrity.
No, dude, who's the most famous dude? Like, we watched Brad Pitt last night on the Property Brothers Celebrity IOU, and it was so funny because you forget, oh, that's right, he's Brad Pitt. Him on screen is like magical. Like, me and the girls are all watching this, and we're just smiling. And then I said to my wife, I go, God, he's really fucking good. She's like, yeah, you're used to seeing like average people have their home redone, not Brad Pitt. Like, all his choices are to get you to fall in love with him. And Isla was like, he is so good on this. And you're like, he's fucking Brad Pitt.
No, but I think he's been redoing homes for a long time.
No. Just him, like him being like, so this is the space, and telling about his friend and hanging out with his friend. Like, it wasn't his designing. It was just him being on camera.
Oh, he's the coolest guy ever.
Oh my!
And
the coolest.
And Quentin Tarantino finally wrote a role. I'm not saying Quentin Tarantino finally wrote the role that showed how cool Brad Pitt is. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because everything else, he's been like cool as shit. But like, come on, dude. Once upon a time in Hollywood, that's the man you want to be. You want to be Brad Pitt. Oh. Unfortunately, I was more like Leo's character. My favorite thing ever was when Leo made fun of his character, made fun of his speech impediment. Is that how you say it? That's fucking hilarious. I can't even say it. And he's just going like, do. Fucking, yeah. It's so subtle that he does it, the way he does the speech impediment. I mean, I think that's like, hands down, Leo's greatest performance.
So
I fucking love that movie.
if you could be one man from one movie, like meaning you could be that
all time
of all times.
Ooh.
I might be Tristan from Legends of the Fall. Brad Pitt's character in Legends of the Fall was just a great fucking character.
Wasn't he just riding around with a horse with his hair?
Oh, no. He was technically raised by the Native American that lived on their land. He taught him how to break horses, and he was just a wild spirit. He, like, at one point after his brother died, he went off and got on a pirate ship and tied himself to the bow and was just smoking hash. And then fucking, dude, that Tristan is probably the best character, one of the best characters Brad Pitt's played.
All right. I'd go, I'm older than you, so I'd have to go back to Charles Bronson.
I knew you were going to say Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson, Lee Marvin, or Yul Brenner with my bald head. Who else did I love back then? I still love all of those guys. Telly Savalas. I gotta name a bunch of bald guys. Yeah, dude. There's a lot of guys like back. Other than saying like the obvious people.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a guy, Robert Vaughn, was a fucking cool guy. He just played cool characters. Now I'm getting out of the topic, like who would you want to be? I'm just talking about guys that I really liked, like actors. I actually watched Bullet was on the other day, so I saw Robert Vaughn was in that. And I love seeing guys and then seeing the actors that you see were influenced by him a little bit. Like they'll do a little mannerism or something like that. It's like, oh, wow, I bet so-and-so watched that person. Like when I saw Robert Vaughn, I was just like, I saw a little like, he said something the way he delivered a line. I saw like a little Kevin Pollak thing in there. And then I was thinking, Kevin's about my age. He fucking probably grew up watching the same shit I did. And that's a cool guy to like model your shit off of. Like, do you know who I got one of the most out of anybody as far as comedic acting goes? Joe DeRosa, not Joe DeRosa. That's funny. Joe DeRosa. No, Joe texted me today saying he was binge watching Larry Sanders.
Oh,
and dude, Jeffrey Tambor.
Ooh.
Jeffrey fucking Tambor is one of the greatest comedic actors in the history of anything. Anything. That fucking guy, that scene when he goes in and he confronts Larry and he's in his office and he fucking tells him that he's sick of being the boob, the dunce on the show. And he wants to be treated with respect. And Gary's like listening to him, acting like he's really taking him in. And for the first time, seeing him as a peer. And he gets through it. He's pouring his fucking heart out. All right? And then all of a sudden, you hear Rip Torn laugh. And you realize that the entire time, Larry had put Rip Torn's character on the speaker to listen to Jeffrey Tambor's character pour his heart out so they could laugh about it later. And he was like up here defending the fact that when Wynonna Judd came on the show, he introduced her as the Judd, right? And he was at the peak going like, they were the Judd. She's a Judd. And he was fucking screaming, defending himself. And then you hear Rip Torn clears his throat or something. And then Gary Shandling has a look on his face like, oh, fuck, he knows. And he brings all of his emotions back down. And he has this look of pain on his face and looks Larry right in the eye. And he just goes, see, that's what I'm talking about. And you my heart almost broke for him. Yeah. And then when he does that performance, dude, he's fucking flailing his arms around so much that his watch literally comes undone. And you know that's not a choice.
Yeah.
And he stayed in and he fucking pops it back on. Dude, that guy is a fucking beast.
He worked with Al Madrigal, I think.
Yeah, and that guy, you know what? And what I learned from him when I watched that scene is everything you ever need to know, I think, as an actor. Like he is not trying to be funny. He fucking believes every fucking thing he's saying. And that's why it's so goddamn funny and heartbreaking at the same time, and when you could do that, to me, that's Richard Pryor level shit. Where Richard Pryor is talking about owning monkeys, and you're laughing, and then all of a sudden they die, and then you're almost crying.
That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite bits ever.
It's because he runs the whole gamut of emotions. It's literally the comedy and tragedy, which all comics stay for the most part in the smiling thing, and he did it. He did them both. It's like moments like that or whatever, that Richard Pryor live, down in Long Beach in concert, that Jeffrey Tambor thing on Gary Shen, like those things, like that's like, what you're going for, but the odds of actually that happening on the day and everything just lines up is so fucking rare. Yeah.
Dude, that when Richard Pryor says, and then the dog jumped over the thing and he was going to get on my ass, and he said, "Hey, Rich."
What's the matter, Rich?
That voice. There are a few things in comedy that I go, I want something like that. I wish I had something like that. I've always loved.
Oh, you do. All comics do. You have to learn, like you have to be ridiculously comfortable with silence to pull that off, because they're going to follow the story. Oh, I love when the dog goes like, "Your monkeys died?
Oh man,
I was going to eat them." And then he just builds you then to a chuckle. I can't remember how he came out of it. I just remember. But what was great was when the
dog leaves and the dog goes, "All right, Rich, I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, just so you know, I'm gonna be after that ass."
Yeah, see you again tomorrow. I remember when I saw it, I was so young that I didn't know to take in like the level of genius that I was watching. I'll tell you what's nuts about his work, that I never met him, but when he died, I cried.
Yeah. Same with Chris Farley and me.
That's like a level of, like, it surprised me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize I felt like that level of a connection to the guy.
You feel like you also, I mean, not to be morbid, but think about the connections that me and you had with like Farley and Pryor. Imagine when like our generation of podcasters who've been sharing their lives every week with people, like when one of us dies, it's going to be like, fuck, like, holy shit. Like, how's his dog's going to like.
I just love that you just put yourself in the same category as Pryor and fucking Farley.
I was thinking of like the guys I listened to. Like,
oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
I wasn't thinking of me. I was thinking of like Marin, Rogan, like all these guys that I listen to all the time. I feel like, I mean, I'm friends with Joe, obviously, but like, I know so much about him that I've got to bite my tongue being around him, because I go, I know everything you do. I listen to your podcast, and I text with him every day, and that's one thing. But a level of things about people. It's like even like you talking last week or the week before about your dog. Like I feel like I was there for your relationship with your dog because I listened to Monday Morning Podcast, and I would listen to you and her, and I would listen to, like, you do bits on it. So like the level of interaction is so much more blown up now.
I'll never get over having to get rid of that dog. It was 100% the right decision, and there was a relief when I did it. But dude, I got to tell you, man, I still think of that dog a ridiculous, like a lot. Yeah, dude, a dog, nothing gets in your heart like a dog, man.
Oh.
I mean, obviously kids, but I'm just saying, like, a dog is basically your fantasy person. Like, yeah. What if I came home and no matter what the fuck I did that day, this person was just ridiculously excited to see me? It didn't matter. No matter how much I was down in the dumps, this thing is just like, woo! And whatever you wanted to do, they wanted to do. And then the simplest things pleased them. You want to go outside? Oh, boy, do I. I mean, it's the greatest fucking thing ever.
Do you want a treat?
Yeah, this guy's the greatest. All they want to do is fucking please you. It's amazing. So, anyways, listen, I got to get running here because my kiddo's going to be getting up soon. So,
all right, buddy.
All right, Bert. Thank you for hanging out with me. Is it going to be weird when this whole thing's over and we're actually talking? We're going to be all grumpy. I can't believe I had to drive all the way over to the studio.
First thing I'm going to do is smoke a cigar and have a drink.
All right. Well, I smoke one cigar. I think I'm gonna do one every other month. So whenever this thing
You
clears,
smoke another one?
I quit January 13th, and then Verzi came out, and I smoked one with them at a Lakers game March 3rd. So then I think in May. I mean, if I can't handle 6 fucking cigars a year, I mean, what the fuck?
Oh, I said someone the other day, I said, I haven't been drinking. I said, what's even more powerful is if I have had one drink. Like, to say I haven't drank in a month is one thing, but to say, oh, no, I've had like 2 drinks in the month. And they're like, you drank twice? No. 2 actual drinks. That's even more powerful. So that's my goal, is to get to a place where I can have a drink in the middle of the afternoon and then not need one for the rest of the day.
Yeah, no, that's like that's like total self-control. I just don't, I don't have the confidence, because I tried doing that like 8 or 9 times. 8 or 9 times I quit drinking, like for a year, 3 months, 100 days, 30 days. And I'm going back this time, I'm going to have a beer if I want to have a beer, and that's going to be it. I'm going to get a really nice beer. I'm going to savor it. And that would happen 2-3 times, and then it became 2-3, and that voice in the back of the head, come on, man, let's fucking ramp it up. I love getting fucked up. So I can't, I love it.
Yeah.
I want to do it, Bert. That's why I don't do it. I fucking love getting fucked up. Whatever kills you, I love. Motorcycles, helicopters, cigars, booze, whatever the fuck you got. Woo! And I'm jealous of people that fucking dropped dead at 50, who just said, you know what? This thing has power over me, and I'm just staring into it. Let's fucking do it. And they enjoy every fucking, they just fucking shooting up. They enjoy every fucking second of it. God bless them. There's something to be said about that. It's a very green way to live. Get yourself the fuck out of the way.
Yep, I'm getting on the treadmill.
Getting on the treadmill? I'm gonna go play drums.
All right,
I got a half hour. I got 28 minutes before the cutie pie gets up, and then I gotta go back to being dad.
All right, buddy.
All right.
I'll see you next week.
Bye, Bert. Bye, Andrew. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching the Bill
Bert
Pod
Cast. We switched it up. All right. See you.
See you guys.